Hello, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of the Azar Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Altimese Nichole, and I'm so excited to talk to this beautiful, amazing friend of mine today and
Mhm.
introduce you all to Octavia B. She is truly a force to be reckoned with in all areas of life. She is a full-time wife, a mom, a career woman, an entrepreneur. She loves to craft, travel, and spend time with the people that she loves the most. And that's actually one of the reasons we connected almost instantly. And she is a podcast host like myself. So she is the host of Millennial Livin podcast, which gives a professional perspective on how millennials do life, right? So welcome, friend. Welcome
Thank
to the
you. Hey,
podcast.
friend. You
Hey,
should see. I'm like,
friend.
oh, do I say hey, friend? Because that's what we say.
Yes.
Yes. Look, that don't even sound right. Hey,
Hey,
friend.
friend. So tell me, how did you decide to start the Millennial Living podcast? And like, what's the passion that is behind that podcast and the concept?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me as a guest. Look at me as a host, Lord, as a
Look,
guest. I started Millennial Living during my postpartum journey with our oldest daughter, Olivia. So she is going to be 4. So the podcast will be 4 upcoming next year. And I started it in the height of the pandemic. So I enjoy radio. I've always wanted to do radio. I don't know if you know that about me, but I've always wanted to do radio, but kind of like my way. So I
yeah,
dabbled in it in a little bit when I moved to Maryland. I guess hosted a radio show, like a little local one, not your big
yeah,
station. And I was like, I love this. Like, I knew I loved this. Like, I knew
yeah.
I loved it. Nothing that I wanted to do like full force as like a career. And I think it changes the flavor a little bit when you move out of New York. 'Cause I'm born and raised in New York. But then I left it alone. Like, I never
Yeah.
like entertained it again. And then I was like, podcast. Like everyone's doing a podcast. Or I've met people in person who's, yeah, I have a podcast. I'm like, really? And so I thought there was this big to do behind it. No, no, ma'am. No, ma'am, it was
All
not.
right.
And so I looked at it. I did some research. You know me, when I find it, I'm digging. I'm digging. Okay, what do I need? What kind of mic? What, because if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it right.
Right,
And
right.
so I just went off from there. I started talking about, what people can do in the pandemic because there was a lot of anxieties that people had. And by no means am I a medical professional or things of that nature, but I was just given different ideas like, what do I do when I'm bored? What are we going to take this time to actually do? I found that I wasn't one of those that fell into maybe a lonely state or a state of depression. So I'm trying to uplift and help other people find different ideas. There were so many resources that were like pouring into the world about
Mhm.
education and continuing certifications that were free, 99. I love
Right.
free. I'm frugal. So I just wanted to share those. And then it went into, I meet a lot of people and they're like, you're a millennial? You're how old? Oh my gosh, you're not like that. And I'm like, there are other millennials who are like me, so stop
Facts.
grouping us into this box.
Mm.
Putting us in this box where, we're entitled. Are there a lot of millennials that are? Yes, but there's also a generation behind us that I think a lot of people mix with millennials. And I'm like, oh no, let's start off with the facts. Millennials start from when you were born in 1981.
Mm.
What? Nuh-uh, I don't identify. Yeah, me either. But guess what? We're in this wide
Right,
range.
facts.
I like to cut
And
them off at
friend,
about
depending
92.
upon the census, depending upon your source, they can go back to 1980. So
Yeah.
then,
And
yeah,
then they like to push them up. I said, oh no, we're going to stop at like 92, but that's really not the real stat.
right.
I'm like, because I can't touch my little brother's generation and say that
Right,
we are one of the same. They're a little different. They're a
right.
little different. But yeah, I just overall wanted to share. And even though the podcast is about diminishing the negative stigmas about millennials, and it's a lifestyle podcast, so we talk about everything. I do have a lot of listeners who are a lot older.
Mm,
And like my grandmother's friends were listening. They were like, "Oh my gosh,
mm,
your granddaughter sounds so good. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not. We're not just talking about I don't know, like latest and greatest,
right.
whatever
Cultural
is going
trends.
on. Yes.
Right.
We're not talking
Right.
about trends at all. We're actually
Right.
talking about the things that, people don't talk about that we should talk about. Things that people are afraid to ask.
Mm,
We talked about like starting a new job and, the bare basics because nobody talks about that stuff. And when you're starting a new job in the workforce, the last thing you're thinking about is everything the person said in HR, right? And so,
right.
we want to have these public discussions that are very fruitful and insightful.
I love that. I love that. And let's talk a little bit about you and me and how we connected. Because like everyone knows, I graduated from VCU. That is my undergrad degree. And I have met some of the most amazing, beautiful souls from VCU, and Octavia is one of them. But it wasn't during undergrad. It was
No,
no. It was not
it
during
was
undergrad.
not.
It was what was it, like a leadership summit
Summit,
for chapter,
yes.
yeah, for chapter leaders. So like, what was your first impression of me?
Of you, I'm like, oh, she's so intentional. Like everything
Really?
about your poise, I can tell, I can sense it was in my spirit. Like the discernment was there. I'm like, she's very intentional, so am I. And when I
Mm.
first saw you, the first thing I noticed was your hair. First thing I noticed was your hair, and I will tell you, like the natural journey, it's not for the weak. It's
Nope.
not
No,
it's not
no.
for the weak. Whether it has to be somebody talking about how your hair looks, or just be that sense of confidence, like when you're first starting out, you do a twist out. I'm like, man, I is so beautiful, and you were wearing it, okay? And you have a lot of hair. And I always admire that your hair does not wear you. You actually wear your hair. So I don't know if you noticed, but you can
Mm.
also see like your level of confidence. Where all of the things that we might be thinking at home, did the twist out come right? Did we use the right product? Oh my God, I can't stand this. You were like, hey, I'm here. We're here. We are
Right.
here. Hello.
And
And
she
I
was
just
big
love
that
that
day,
about you.
girl. I
Oh
remember
my
that.
gosh. I don't know if you still have those pictures, but I do. I even use them on my chapter page. Okay. I want everyone,
She was taking
I want everyone
everybody
to
out.
see.
Like, don't get behind
Yeah.
Altimese, because your
Oh
her
yeah.
hair
But
was just like it
no,
was.
mm,
Yeah.
no, not in one of the pictures. No, you will be behind me. Okay. But yes, that's the first thing I noticed. Mentally, you were very intentional. And I would say physically, the first thing I noticed was your hair and how beautiful it was. And you were wearing
Oh,
it
friend.
as always.
Oh, friend. I remember when we first spoke and you brought up my hair and we were talking and we just started to just connect. Like it was as
Mm-hmm.
if the energy went from like not necessarily out, but we definitely our energy started to go like this and it started to
Yes.
be in parallel the entire weekend.
Weekend,
Like
right? So
the
much so that we are
entire
looking
weekend.
forward to every
Yes.
weekend, in
Yes.
person.
And I
Yes.
remember being like, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, Octavia, please stay in touch. Like, I would love to stay connected with you. And you was like, yeah, girl. And I feel like there was one other woman with us that weekend.
Yes.
It was one
Yes.
other woman with us. And I remember like, oh, I hope Octavia, and you did. And like, we have cultivated and nurtured such a
A beautiful
beautiful
friendship. Yeah.
friendship over the years. Like, we've and I'm like getting chills a little bit, but like we've cultivated a space of open communication where like if there's anything that I say that you don't necessarily agree with or you feel I need a different perspective on, you have all the space in the world to say that and to be open and be like, "Hey friend, I know this is how you feeling, but let's look at it in this perspective." Right? And it's a
And
beautiful
vice
thing.
versa.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have friends like that
And
because,
adults to make them as adults,
yeah,
because everybody has their own opinion how they're going to do stuff. They're set in their ways. But as I said, you're very intentional. I'm a very intentional person. And so we are very, very mindful. And, we work at this thing. We work at our friendship.
yeah,
Just like any other relationship, I think we really are showing up and always show up 100%. And when we're not, we know each other well enough that we're like, today is not the day we're going to check each other. Or
right,
today is not the
right,
day we're going to pull this thing out. Or, if we feel it some type of way, we're not, now is not the time to address it, but we always come back and we always talk about it. I don't feel like there's anything that I can't talk to you about or say to you. And I admire that for our friendship. I love that. I really
yeah.
do.
And like you said, it's not common. I will say that my friendships, um, I'm intentional about cultivating that space with my friends because I want you all to know that I love you enough to see you. Like I see you. So because I see you, I give you the space to feel seen, heard, accepted, loved, right? But I also know that there are people who don't operate that way. Like I know some people who is their way or no way. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a closed mind perspective of like, no, if this is what I want, this is how I'm gonna get it. And then they mask it with a boundary. Like they be like, oh, this is my boundary. Nah, girl, this is your inability
It's you.
to accept that. Yeah, this is your inability to accept accountability that you are wrong right now. That's not a boundary. That's you not
Mm-hmm.
being honest about checking yourself, right? So like I love that we have that space together. But have you ever in any moment in any of our, because you were there during my divorce,
Mm-hmm.
you were there in my decision making process, like of like trying to decide like what is happening. Do I want to like in that process, was there ever a moment where you felt like I potentially was that person I was just talking about, where I was just like, nope, like this is a hard line, this is how I feel, and this like not necessarily receptive to what you were saying. Um, and I'm not really a confrontational person, so it's not like I don't approach it
Mm-hmm.
in that way. But did you ever feel that coming from me?
When you said boundary, I think that's a healthy thing. So I don't look at it as a negative thing for what you had, but what you're referring to, like, some
Yeah,
other people that we might know, absolutely not. But
yeah,
that is a very whether you agree or not, you know, it's a very fragile state to be in, right? And so you are very intentional. Again, I don't know if this is it, this theme, okay? You are very intentional. So you don't open yourself up until you're ready to even receive that. And you've taught me that too.
mm,
Receive whatever someone else is going to say. And when you do, I can also tell, right? And so I've
yeah,
learned I'm loving you the way that you want to be loved. I'm hearing you the way that you want to be heard and not the way that I want to give you or say, so you've taught me to, hey, friend, is this something that you want me to comment on or you just talking?
hmm,
Okay, I'm listening today because I can go, 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 right?
right,
And so you're like, no, I just want you to hear me, or I haven't made this decision yet, I'm toying with this. And there is a hard boundary, right? Yes, you start off by saying, hey, I just want you to hear this, whatever the case may be.
yeah,
Or I can't believe this is happening, and I'll start off saying, oh, did you consider this? And then
yeah,
you'll be like, yeah, I did. you know, yeah, I did do that. I'm just, basically vocalizing however we navigated those
yeah,
conversations. But I don't think it's a negative thing for you to have a boundary, because even sometimes when you might feel like you have discerned who your friends are that you can talk through things with rather
yeah,
than just telling them things, sometimes, hey, it might not be one of those friends that picks up the phone and calls you in that moment, right? And
yeah,
someone might get you, one of your friends might get you, hey, how you doing? Well, I'm really not doing well, but I know you're gonna know if I tell you I'm lying,
right,
And so, Yeah, I don't feel like you were one of those. I think you established healthy boundaries on what was best for you and your mini you. I can't even call her her name. Like, because
Girl,
y'all look so much
listen.
alike. And this hair is given,
Listen.
okay? Mini you. But yeah,
Listen.
whatever was healthy for you guys. I think you did a phenomenal job the way you executed it all. Okay. I don't care if there was a time where I felt like you weren't listening. I can't even think of one because I would have said it, right? I think
Girl,
you did what was best for you. And the only thing that I can do as your friend is respect that because
yeah.
yeah, we both have been married. You know, I'm married now, but I don't know what it's like to go through that walk. So I can have all the advice in the world, but guess what? I'm not living. This is not my life or, your decision. So
Going through that process, like, let me tell you, like, it was interesting because I could tell it was as if, like, my friends, there were different categories. Like some friends were super supportive and they were just like, whatever you want to do, ultimately, it's like, whatever is best and healthy for not just you, but all three of you. Like whatever is best. Then I had a category of friends that would throw like the what if, what if, have you considered, have you done, have you did, da, 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 da. And let me tell you, like anyone who is listening, if there is someone in your life who is contemplating a divorce and they have vocalized it, they have exhausted all angles,
options.
avenues, possibilities. By the time they say it out their mouth, like consider all of that stuff something that they've thought about or talked about like because it's by the time you get to where you can actually say it, there are certain measures before you even get there that has just already been in place. So I had friends who were like just doing a gut check for that. But then I had some people that when they found out, it's as if they thought it was contagious. It's as if they don't laugh. Why you laugh? It's as if, you know, they I don't know if you've seen Sex in the City when like I think it was the movie when Big like they was going through all their stuff and Charlotte was like, let me love on my husband a little bit more like that. Like I feel like there were friends that literally thought like, oh, let me I don't know, that's what it felt like. Like it was as if they didn't want to, oh, let me stay away because I don't want a divorce. Like and it's like that's the feeling. Like they didn't check, they didn't, like it was just and I was just like, y'all, like please, please understand it takes two people in a marriage to make it work. It takes two. So like whatever's going on in someone else's marriage, that does not have
Anything to
any
do with
impact on your
unless
marriage.
that foundation is rocky anyway, and some of the things they're starting to see their marriage to yours, right? And they
Yeah,
probably never told you about it, or there's some truth in it for them, because that's the only way I can see. I feel
girl.
like it's
It
contagious.
was like, and it was like maybe like two or three people specifically it was blaring. And I was just like, okay. And
Mm,
I just stood back because, and I observed because I was like, I want to see, you there during my mountaintop seasons. Like you
mm-hmm,
there when I'm winning, right? But this is a season of great loss. And I just want to see how you show up. Like
mm-hmm.
how are you showing up? How are you deciding to be a friend? Because I do believe, yes, marriage is like one of the most important relationships that we could cultivate. But friendships to me kind of mirror the same level of intention. I'm very intentional with my friendships in the same way I am intentional with the person I'm dating and the person I plan to marry. Like I don't see it any differently because you know how like when we were younger, people be like, oh, you have that friend that when she in a relationship, you don't hear nothing
Nothing
like
from, oh,
girl, she goes, she gone, like
like,
she and then
oh, you ain't never have nobody before. Ooh, this gonna
Look,
be rough because then you be the
right.
same one calling me if it don't work. And guess
Uh-huh.
what? I
That's
ain't got
it.
it. I don't have
That's
time for
it.
you.
That's
I
it.
didn't get to I didn't get to cultivate this relationship so that I know on the ins and outs. And there's no okay, there is a season where you are um you're
There is.
what do they call that new love? Puppy love, right?
Oh,
Puppy
yes,
love.
yes. Like
Right.
the
And so you're
honeymoon.
head
The
over
honeymoon
heels
phase.
over yeah, the honeymoon phase,
Yes.
exactly. But I always like try to caution, and you making me think of one of my friends. I commend her so much because I've been with her through this journey of her relationship. She started dating
Mm,
this guy, and they hit it off very well, and now they're in a full blown relationship. But she maintained her friendship.
yes.
And like it
Oh,
is so rare because like you said, or like I said, when it gets rocky, you want the person to be there. But I know nothing about like what you want me to be there just to listen, okay? Because I'm the person I'm gonna listen one time. I might listen one and a half times to the same issue. But when we get around to that too, I'm very results driven. I'm results oriented.
yeah.
Where are we going from here? And so I have no data. Okay. I only have what you've been telling
Have
me.
you always been
You,
like that? Like, like,
yes. Yes. Now what? What next? Because if I stay in that, and we were just talking about this in Bible study, right? And they were looking at me like, and I was like, by no means am I perfect, okay? Because we were talking about sitting in like being hurt or being disappointed, by
hmm
whatever may
hmm
happen. And I said, I go to
yeah.
God, I'm very disappointed. I'm upset. They're like, you say that to God? Absolutely.
Yes.
Because I need to release it and move on.
Yes.
Because I know that God has something better, right?
Yes.
And I didn't get to say it then, but I do want to say it now that it's not always God that puts you in a situation, or the negative stuff is not God put me here, right? God
Yeah.
might be removing you from something, but how it happened in those people, that's the devil. That is the devil. That
And
is
can
there's
we
some.
also add sometimes it's us. Like
Yes,
sometimes
you wasn't listening. You weren't listening.
sometimes
And
some
you didn't move when God said to move, whatever it may be, right? But God is going to be there all the time. And
all
so
the time.
I need to
Yeah.
hurry up and get back to that space. Like, oh God, what we doing? What, because I know something great coming. It gotta be because this right here, this ain't you.
This ain't it.
This ain't your grace. This ain't it. Can you get somebody else to do it?
Yeah,
Can you get
yeah.
somebody else? Just
Mm-mm,
this
get somebody
part.
else to do it.
Yeah, just this part, not my blessing. this part. And
Cause
sometimes it's a
and I
blessing in
just went through
disguise.
that. Like, I feel like God sometimes allows chaos so that we can remove ourselves from the chaos to make room for the greatness, the goodness that He has for us. Because sometimes in that chaotic moment, right, in order for us to get what we pray for, that has to go away. And he just allows
Right.
the chaos to just, we get frustrated. We get in a space where we're like, something has got to change. Or sometimes it's something that it's totally out of our control. And we don't have any say
We
in the
try to
matter.
control.
Yeah. And we trying and trying and trying and don't work, don't work, don't work. And then we finally surrender to it only to realize that the whole time God was like, let go so I can give you this. Like,
Yes,
let
let me
go.
spin that, friend, because that's what I was gonna say. It's God that is He's presenting it, but might be us creating the chaos. Because I do
Yes,
believe that God is not a God of confusion, right?
that's right.
And so
That's right.
where He lays it out plain and clear, but here is us. Oh no, let me try it this way, or let me try it that way, and that's when the chaos comes because we're just
Yeah.
so conflicted.
Trying to
We
figure it
want what
out.
we want, but we want it right now, and we
Yeah.
want you trying to figure it out, and that's not our job, right?
Right.
If we fully surrender, is it really our job to actually figure it out? Or are we supposed to walk this way that God
Mm.
told us to walk? We
Mm.
get into these conversations about
Listen.
our good Lord. You know,
Listen.
yeah, as guys can see, our relationship is very well rounded. It's very well rounded, and that's why I hold it with the utmost regard. Because how often is it that you can talk to someone, your friend, about faith, your relationship, your marriage, friendships in
Yeah.
general, money? We talk about
Yeah.
finances. We talk about business. We talk about the entrepreneurship side. We talk about the career side. Like we talk
Right.
about
We talk about
everything.
our kids and how,
Oh gosh, them girls. Look,
right.
them girls. And
Yes.
then for us to be still, like you said, we are very intentional where we live hours away from each other.
Yeah.
We live
Yeah.
hours, and sometimes we'll jump on a working session. Sometimes we'll jump on the
Yeah.
phone. You right in here? Yep. Let's make time. There's these memes out there about how millennials or you get to adults and you got to schedule. Yeah, we schedule, but sometimes you don't have time for a schedule.
Right.
Sometimes you need to have that conversation right then and
Right
there.
now.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I hope that you know that you have the space. You can call me. You don't have to schedule a call. Like it's a
Yeah.
text message. Hey, what time you? Oh, I don't have it right now, but I will have it when. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we don't let
Yeah.
our busy lives and the busyness, and we also respect our lives, right? It's not every
Right.
time you have a dire need or I have a dire need. It's like, oh, I'm gonna call Denise. Oh, I'm gonna call Denise. Like, no, mm-mm. She has a life too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I think we've done a beautiful job in cultivating that space together. Like
yes.
it's been a sense of togetherness, and I am just so glad because I remember leaving. I think it was we had like a game that leadership summit.
Mhm.
Like we went to the game. I remember leaving, and I was like, Octavia is so cool, and I was like, I hope we stay in
Oh.
contact because you know how like some people they'll be like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
stay
but
in contact,
I
and you
can't
don't hear
stand
from them
that.
ever again. Like you
I
know,
don't like that. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And I am a woman of my word.
me
If
too.
I say I'm going to do something,
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to
do
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
But yes, we do meet those people, especially in adulting life, right? Where they're like, yeah, girl, let's stay connected. Like it's almost like a hello, goodbye, let's stay
Right.
connected. Like
How
it's
are
so
you?
routine to
Yes.
say,
Yes.
how are you? Yes. Do you really want to know, or is this a routine question?
Right.
So,
Do you want the I'm good, how are you? I'm well.
right.
How are you? Right. That's the standard response, right? Like and sometimes I have to check myself because I will say like I am extremely good at compartmentalizing. That's actually something that I learned through my marriage, like of being able to if I have to do something, I don't it's not that I don't care how I feel, but I understand the role of feelings.
Mhm.
So just because I feel like, ugh, I don't like this, I don't want to do it, I'm not going to allow that feeling to change the fact that I'm going to do it. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? So like, it's very easy for me to like, you could call and be like, hey friend, how you doing? I'd be like, I'm doing well. How are you? You, because you know me, you can spot you could spot the lie a mile away. You could be like, wait, friend, real like this has to
How
do
okay are you? You okay?
right,
Okay?
right, right. You'd be like, wait, friend, let's go back to that question I just asked you.
Mhm.
And then you'll be like,
Because
so
I
how
heard
are
it in
you
your voice.
really? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So like, but I'm really good at just moving. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that point that you mentioned in Bible study, like that's something he's a pastor in Maryland, Pastor Keith Battle. I learned that from him, like where I schedule grief. Like if I feel like a feeling that like I need to process through this, I literally
Mhm.
block off time to sit with God and have that moment with God that you have where you be like, God, I'm really not feeling this and I'm sad or I'm upset or I'm frustrated. Like I make that an intentional part of my day so it doesn't consume my day, right? Like
Absolutely.
if I don't do that, those feelings will bleed into all kinds of areas of my life that's so unnecessary and there'll be
Exactly.
a domino effect. So like I'm good at that, but I'm grateful that in those moments where I'm like, I just gotta go. Like I just gotta go. You catch me. You are one of the few who catch me. And I have a friend, her name is Vicky. I love her so much. She's one too. Like she will catch it and be like, wait a second. You sure you good?
And you don't even, and look, we don't even have the visual. I can just
No,
hear it. I
it's
don't
just a
know.
phone call. It's like the audio, the tone.
Hmm.
But I think that's why like we're very I personally think our generation is very big on texting. Like very big. We're like the first generation that kind of had it, not all our life, but like probably high school and on,
The majority of
the
it, yeah.
majority, because of AIM, like AOL, Messenger, like we had that. So I think we're very big on that. But to be able to hear someone's voice and like be able to gauge like how they're really doing, because I
Hmm.
could I could put a LOL real quick.
Right? Look,
Listen,
oh, that has become very,
listen, I could put a
and people
LOL
say,
real quick with a straight face. Okay, LOL. Like, and there are levels to the LOL. Okay, if I put
right.
LOL,
If
ha
it's
ha ha,
text,
right? You gotta checkle. Okay,
if it's LOL with a period.
right. That was a
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's something so special about like the calls, like just to check in. And we don't have a lot of time, like y'all, Octavia has a full life. Kids, kids,
With the
okay?
S now. With the
Kids,
S.
a husband. She got a full life. I have a full life. So we don't talk every
Very
single
full.
day. Yeah, we don't talk every single day, but when we talk, it's purposeful, right? And
Hmm.
it's intentional, and we literally pick up exactly where we left off. And I appreciate the space and you seeing me. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't be one to be like, oh, Altimese don't sound good on the call, but okay, she said she was good, because some people would do that and just be like, okay, she said she was fine, and just act like they don't see anything.
And
You're like,
leave it.
squirrel, I don't see it. Like, girl, like to me, that's true friendship. That is friendship.
Hmm.
Being able to have the space to be honest, to see your friend and know that something's wrong. And sometimes, you haven't had the words, but you were
Hmm.
there. And for me, that's most important. Like for real, that's most important. Like the presence of the person versus like the words. I don't know. Are you
Hmm.
big on like words or like affirmations or like?
Mm, more so for myself, right? But I am
Mm,
also the person that I'm learn to love people how they want to be loved, right? Because that's how I want to be loved. I want to be
mm,
loved how I want to be loved, not how you want to love me. Because
mm,
sometimes that doesn't really cross in communication, or it does cross. It just crosses right past one
right.
another. Like I can't really feel, I can't hear you really trying to be there for me if you're trying to be there for me in your own way and not how I receive
Mm,
it. And so
mm,
if a person, like I know in particular, I have a friend who's really big on affirmation. Um, and she's going through a season in her life that is very challenging. And so I make sure I'm like, oh, I don't have one, but I'm gonna look one up. Like I can look
right.
up everything else, right? I know how to find everything else. I can Google, I can do all of that. So
Oh,
now I can be
so
intentional for my
beautiful.
friend and be there for her the way that she wants to be.
Yeah,
I don't have the words, right? But I know affirmations mean something to her. I know to be seen, that's as a woman, right? Once
yeah,
you become a mom, it's very easy to be unseen, right?
yes,
And so
yeah.
she is a mom of multiples, and she is going through a tough season. And I'm like, okay, that's what the affirmations are going to be centered on, and then I start to be able to develop my own knowing her. So it all depends, back to your question, as to who I'm talking to, who I'm communicating with.
Mm,
I'm a very social person, right? I have a lot of personalities that I have learned. Um, and so when I am catering to those people that I'm speaking to for whatever specific reason, I cater it to them.
yeah.
But as for me, yes, presence actually means more than words, because you can say
Mm,
all you want, but say what you mean, and that's an action behind it.
yeah.
And so presence At least for me in this season, I will say it has changed because there was a time where I didn't have time. Okay. I won't, you always have time. It's what you make time for, right? And so I
Yeah.
didn't have time I didn't make time for people's presence because I know a lot of people and I have a big family. And I was
Mm,
away at school, and school was my focus. And so the presence really necessarily wasn't um, as much as a priority as it is for me now. Like
yeah.
the support that I need now from my friends and family requires presence, not just you talking. I can talk all day.
Right.
We've mastered that by now. So yes, in
Right.
this season for me, presence actually means more. What about
Yeah.
you?
So I, yeah. Hmm. So, okay. I think you're on to something when you talk about the season because when I was younger, like 20s, words of affirmation was like the biggest thing for me. Like it was like my number one love language. So like people who poured into me with words, I had such an appreciation for until like my mid 20s when
Mm,
I realized that people can say things and their actions be nothing like what they're saying.
are you saying?
Like nothing. So like for me now, and it's actually like the older I get, the more rooted this becomes. Like words of affirmation is alone is nothing. It means nothing to me. It has to be paired with something else, whether it be quality time, acts of service, gifts. Like gifts have like leveled up some for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have to remind myself, like I think it's really beautiful that you see your friend, she's a words of affirmation woman and she needs that right now. And you're literally seeking out ways to like let her know you love her pretty much
Mm-hmm.
in the way that and I have to remind myself that there are people who literally just by pouring into them with words, it means a lot to them because I once it kind of like deprioritized on my list, like I just don't see words the way I see action now.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be where if there's somebody in my life who needs the words of affirmation, I'm struggling to do it because it's just not top of mind for me because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You see what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's and I do I really really admire that you do that. Like you took the time to do that because in all honesty, I think I struggle in that area. And it's primarily just with the words of affirmation one because I've listened, y'all. I feel like words are poo-poo unless I do. I feel like
It's backed
people
by an action.
listen, you people say things all the time. I even I even made a vow before God and here we are not living that vow. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't like for me even my own words. Like I push myself to back my words up with action
Mm-hmm.
because without the action, it's just space. It's just energy going out in the universe in the air, and we just putting the air out. We just that's what we doing. Like like
Yeah.
that's
I
it. But I love and admire that. I think I'm taking some notes from you because
oh
yeah, because I have someone very important in my life and they're big on words of affirmation and because it's not big for me, it kind of just gets lost
it
in the
falls.
sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I'm taking notes, Fran. Taking notes.
Yeah, and I think also like the different seasons and different changes and life events in our lives, that's when it shows up that you need it the most, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're dealing with a loss, if you're dealing with something with your identity, finding it, being lost in it, When you become a mother, if you don't have someone that you are able to look up to or look at
Yeah.
or remember from way back in on their season and
Yeah.
how they navigated it, and you're just trying to, and let's like now it's
Ah,
busy. Okay, when
yeah.
we were coming up, it was, but these distractions now,
It's
they
insane.
they
Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
so even when someone is not trying to be trying to ignore a person, or whether it be a romantic relationship, or say like you and I, if you and I are talking as friends and I needed to see you but I can't because I'm in my phone, I'm texting, we're at dinner, I'm texting, something else is way more important. My presence in your presence hasn't taken a priority, and I
Mm,
miss the fact that, your hair is cute today, girl. I don't care. It's nothing like a compliment. It does not have to
mm.
be this whole, deep, this
Right.
whole deep thing that you need to say to a person. It could be as simple as a compliment, and you could have spent 2 hours before, trying to mention,
Right.
okay, because I gotta get it right, and then you go out there, you're like, I don't like this, and your friend sees it, and they're like, I love that. Really? That can give you the boost
Um,
in your day, whatever it
yeah.
is. But I think it's very important as women, people say that women are emotional. I think men have a piece too where they can be emotional and they can have some insecurities where it just be us in our own heads. It's
Yeah.
nothing to do with how someone on the outside perceives us. Or it could be something you're working hard and nobody else sees it but the person that can identify what
Yeah.
it is. You're working really hard on your business. You're doing very well on your business. Thank you. You saw that, beyond
Yeah.
just a post that someone saw that you made or something. So I don't know, you can
Yeah.
brighten somebody's day.
Mommyhood is a
That's the
ah,
tough hood.
listen,
That's the
listen.
ghetto. It's the ghetto. No, I love it. I love
I
it,
do
but it
too, but
can be
listen,
ghetto at
she
times.
reads me. Do you understand? This child shades me all the time. Like, and I
Her
have
or
to
the bunny. No, her and the bunny because
listen, y'all. Okay, so I have I got Izzy a bunny, and I thought like, oh, a bunny? That's so much easier than a dog. Like, it's fine. This will be cool. She's quiet. Bunnies don't make noise. All of this stuff. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's not true. Bunnies scream. Bunnies grunt. Bunnies do this little fight thing with their front legs when they are mad at you, like, yeah, like, and scream. Like, they literally grunt, like, yeah, yeah. And it's just like, girl, what are you doing? Don't do that. I'm like, oh, she's been eating my baseboards. She's been like, and I'm like, don't eat my house, bruh. If you eat my house, you got to get
you
out
get
because
it
this
out.
house, listen, this house appreciates you, young lady. You can't eat something that appreciates in value. Who gonna win?
We still
It's
talk
the
about the
house.
bunny.
It's the house. The house gonna win. The house gonna win. You eat her, the house is gonna win. And like, oh my gosh, yeah, this bunny, she's teaching me a lot of lessons. I
Yeah, and
swear it was easier than a
our
dog.
children will too. Yeah,
Yes,
our children.
Izzy. Oh, speaking of the bunny, she literally just came in. Like I heard you
She said,
talking
"Oh,
about
you
this.
took
That's
my
how I
mommy."
feel.
Yes.
Listen.
You said
I
I'm
feel
getting out.
like
Show me.
show me, boo. Show me. That's literally she's right there. So like but Izzy's taught me a lot. Like, and I realized too, I don't know if you've had this experience, certain things that Izzy says or does triggers the little version of me inside. Like little Nichole pops up
Mhm.
and it's up to me as the adult version to respond properly. Like,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like I'm raising my daughter while re-raising myself.
Mm. Yeah.
I have you experienced that? Because like,
Oh yeah. I experience, okay, so where I have to check the little girl in me, it's more so my relationship with my husband sometimes. And when I have
Mm,
to check myself with my daughter, it's like, you didn't like that. You didn't like that growing up, right? You didn't like how that was said to you. You didn't like
mm.
that this was done. And it's, I think people, have really taken the term and ran with it. What is it? Conscious parenting. What is it?
Yeah, like conscious parent or gentle parenting.
Gentle parenting.
Yeah.
I just like to say I'm conscious parenting,
Mm,
right? Um, and it's not like the first thing that you think about a pop or go sit in timeout. Do I know why I'm sitting in timeout? Because it's a very routine thing to say. And does my child
mm.
even understand what
What it
I'm
means.
saying?
Yeah.
It's easy to say when they're younger. You have to do a lot of talking when they're younger. I don't
Right.
like to repeat myself as the adult version of me, right? If I hear
Right.
her listening to something over and over and over, I'm like, turn it off. Like, I'm just thinking about my feelings, how I'm overstimulated. But I read something the other day that that's how children learn. They
Yeah.
learn by
Repetition.
repetition. And so
Yes.
it could be the most annoying thing to you. And I'm talking like she's learned fast forward and rewind on YouTube. Oh my God. I'm like, how many ways do you need to have him say it? Like, are you getting something new? But it's just like us. We can read, we can read something. We can read the Bible and get one little verse each
Yes.
time, every day, and we're going to get something different out of it. And so she
Yes.
must need hers in that moment, right? Because I'm like, girl. And the first thing I want to do, and Stan has checked me. Stan is my husband, for those who don't know. He's like, why are you talking like that? And I'm like, no, I have to talk to her in a certain tone in order for her to
Mm,
understand, like, one time is enough. And then there are some times where, like I said,
mm.
I have to really discern, like, does she really understand what I'm asking her? This is a big ask for this little person who has
Right.
just immersed in this world. She didn't ask to
You
be
don't
here,
know.
right? She
Yeah.
doesn't know. And I think that there's a lot of, oh, kids should know this by this age and this. And I'm like, okay, let's rewind the circumstances. Not every child is brought up in the same way. Not every child has experienced the same way. And these pandemic babies,
They're
hmm,
different.
they're different. Yes, they
Yeah.
are very
Yeah.
different. We weren't
Mm.
eating the same things, how what they digest and what they get to eat and where their food source comes from is way different, right? And so
Yeah.
how is that
Yeah.
impacting their body? How is that impacting? And then here we go. Don't do that. Put that there. Just let the kid be a kid, right?
Yeah.
To a
Yeah.
certain extent, because we're
Right.
not going to be talking back. Skylar, the 6 month old, likes to talk back. I'm like, all right, girl. Say all you saying. You done? Because now I'm talking to the 6 month old. Yes, I will, because she knows. She knows. This other one, she has the look. Olivia has the look. She'll look at you. Yes, are you done looking? Okay, so this is called expressing
That's
your
what it
face, and
is.
this is what mommy can see. I'm not going to just take that as that's a whole
Stop.
attitude you're trying to give me at 3, right? But yeah, they are beautiful
I
beings,
love
man. They're
it.
our forever. I like to call them my forever group project. Whether I know it
Yeah.
or not, I'm not doing it alone. And it's just not with my husband. It's with my friends, my family, anybody that I choose to have around them. This is our group project. You gonna mess up our group project? You gotta go.
Yeah.
I have an
So you
interview
said,
I'm doing. Who's coming in?
yeah. Look,
God.
momhood. Like, and
All
you
the
said
time.
something that I challenge this with adults because I hear this a lot where they be like, I don't like to repeat myself. I don't like repeating myself. And maybe it's because I'm in marketing that I know in order for marketing to be successful, we have to repeat ourselves because
Mm,
of because of human behavior, right? It's just like a
yes.
habit, right? It's just like to create a habit, you got to do it over and over and over and over again until it becomes a habit. And then the more you do that habit, the more it becomes natural behavior for you. Communication is the same. Someone learning something is the same. So even in like relationships, I have,
That
I
part.
have, yeah,
Right.
yeah, I've conditioned myself. to be okay with repeating myself. But I would tell, I like it's so interesting though, because I'll repeat myself, but then the other person be like, I already told you that. Tell me again.
Because
Tell me
evidently
again.
I didn't hear it, or the way that you
Right.
said it didn't resonate
Right.
with
It's not resonating yet. Tell me again. Tell me again. Tell me again. And then eventually, right, you don't have to tell me because at that point it's habitual. So like I challenge,
me. Mm.
yeah, like so like I don't know, and I don't know where it came from, where we as adults are like we don't like repeating ourselves because obviously as kids, you know, kids don't.
Yeah, parents repeat themselves a lot, and to expect
Yeah,
that they now sometimes they're like, I know Olivia a little defiant. So I
yeah,
have to repeat myself to know that no, I wasn't playing when I said that. I really meant what I said. So in that moment, I
yeah,
have to repeat myself as simple as no. And she wants to do
yeah.
it anyway. I said no. And so that really aggravates me. But also, what am I teaching her? Mommy said no. This is what she meant. Okay, I'm going to say no again, but I really want this. I know how many times as adults we supposed to say no, we don't. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, we are
Like
the
we're
only
gonna do it.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
so for a
yeah.
little kid to see what
Mhm.
they want, and I'm saying no, no, I said no.
Yeah.
It's a big ask, and so that's what I try to
Oh,
be very,
friend.
very intentional with
I
it,
just
and it's
thought about
hard.
something. I just thought about something. So, okay. So with kids, right, we say no to
Hmm.
them. And let me share this before I say this. With Izzy, if there's something that I need her to understand, like for when she's outside, when she was learning not to go in the street, I literally got on her level and I repeated it 3 times. I was like, do not go in the street, do not go in the street, do not go in the street. I literally did it that way. I said it 3 times. And I said,
Hmm.
and then I had her tell me what I said. I said, what did mommy say? And she said, do not go in the street. I said, what does that mean to you? And she was like,
Mm.
she said, that means I can't go in the street. There you go. And I did it again. Do not go in the street. Do not go in the street. Do not go in the street. I did that intentionally because as a marketer, I understand like you got to repeat and then you got to make sure the person understands, right? Have them say it back to you, right? To
Did you
make sure
hear
that
what
they
I said?
understood, right?
How did you
And
hear that?
hearing you talk made me think how many of our children hear us say we don't like repeating ourselves and do what we say do, right? But they watch us not honor our own words to ourselves
Mm.
or to our spouse
When it
or
comes
to
to
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like how many because you know they see everything. So like
Hmm.
how many of our children are in a space where they're hearing mommy and daddy say, do this, do this, do this. But they're looking at us like, well, you say you will do something and you don't do it,
And
you
some
know?
children will tell you. They call you out on
Yeah.
it. But think about all the things that they saw that they haven't.
Right.
That's a good point. Or think about if God treated us that way. That's what I thought you were
Oh,
gonna say. Thought you-
oh man, if God did that to
and
us,
instead of God forgiving us the way that He forgives us, and He told us every 5 minutes, didn't I just
right,
tell you?
right. See, I don't make
I'm
me
not
repeat
repeating myself.
myself. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
yes, that's another thing as I,
Mm,
continue to study and get even deeper, deeper,
yeah.
deeper and rooted in my faith. I think, am I asking my child something that if God asked of me, how would I react?
Mm,
And just
mm.
like what we just said, how would I react if God said, don't do that? And it was something I really wanted.
Or
So,
how many times has
what
he been
the
so
hell is right?
gracious and so full of love and grace when he tell us not to do something and we go back and we do it
And we do it
again.
anyway.
And then
Oh,
we
and yes.
and then he save
And
us.
again
And he
and
be like, all
again.
right, come on out. And then we be like, thank you God, we won't do it again. And then we go and do it again. Like,
Yeah. So
but
that
then with our
attitude,
kids, like we
yes, we
don't.
have to have that same
Mm,
attitude,
yeah,
that same energy. And let's not, I think I have way more grace for a kid than
I
my
do.
husband sometimes.
Facts. But you know why? It's because children are children. They're
That's
still
bad.
learning.
That's bad. They could still be
But like,
learning too. In a relationship, they're learning you.
yeah,
I don't care how
yeah,
long somebody been with
yeah,
somebody. People are, oh, we've been together since junior high. Marriage is a whole nother level. Relationships are a whole nother level as a
yeah.
whole. And
Oh
who you are
man.
and who they met and who you are today and will be tomorrow, completely different. So how
Yeah.
unrealistic is it to say, a child
Like
is
you an
still
adult,
learning?
you a grown person.
Right, right. You should
Yeah,
know better. Well, yesterday this was fine. I'm
right.
talking to one of my
Today
friends
it's
now.
not, you know?
Yes, who's expecting, and she keeps, saying that, well, all the man got to do is, her partner told her all he has to do is deal with her. I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot. And she's like, oh no, we got to do this. And I am not disregarding anything. Pregnancy is a very hard journey, right?
Yeah.
But to deal with an ups and down, a roller coaster of a person is a lot. I don't know who
Yeah.
I'm gonna get when I walk in this room. You gave me this. I wanted this. That's a nice. If she a crier, that is nice. But if she's, if she's a bear, whew,
And
and
yeah, that
then
is true. That is true.
yeah. So I think that would be
Mm.
unrealistic and unfair. Now, do I live this way, y'all? No, I'm a work in progress. But now I know that I will be listening to this episode to check myself, right? This is
Yeah.
something that I said, and sometimes I need
Mm.
to say things out loud and I receive it for myself. A lot of the times, not sometimes. And so, yeah, can I really
Mm.
expect that? Because I stand and be like, why you say it like that? Because I told you that already. I don't care. He's the first person to say, I don't care. Tell me again. And
Yeah.
again, just like you
Mm.
said, and tell me again and again. And then I'm thinking, okay, maybe you didn't get it the way that I said. Or if I say it a certain way to begin
Mm.
with, why are you talking like that? Because I
Mm.
want to make sure you got it. That doesn't change. How you said, I'm not going to remember,
It
Octavia said
doesn't.
it like this. No. Mm-mm. If I need you to say it
Mm.
again, say it again.
This was
This
meant for
is
both
too
of us
much.
because I don't know. I am much more grace filled with children
Me
because I
too.
you see what I'm saying? Like because
Yeah, me too.
they're still growing and evolving, and when it's an adult, I have less tolerance for. High five,
You
friend.
should know better. Don't play with me. I know you know better because you 40 some
Right,
odd years old.
right.
So,
And you're right. Like they may not. We're all on a journey. We are all learning. And as we're learning, we're all evolving. So like you mentioned, who you married years ago is not the person you're with 6 months ago, and it's not going to be the person 6 months from now. So like
hmm
if there's a constant evolution of just being a human being and changing your thought process, your growth and all of that, you marry that person, you're connected to that person, you have to be willing to be open to that
and give them the
evolution
space,
and
like you
give them the
said.
space.
Give them the space.
Mm,
Give them that grace. The same grace you give your friends is the same space, the same grace you need to give to the one that you decide to be with. In a
yeah,
relationship. And sometimes we could be more grace filled with our friends than we are
that's
our
true.
partners, and vice versa. More grace filled with the partner than you are with your friends. I think we've had this conversation before when it came to friendships. And I was like, yeah, I'm way harder on my female friends than I am on my male friends. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, because they should know better. I said, no. Mm-mm,
Right.
mm-mm." And
Like
then that's when we read that
houseway.
book together. Yeah.
Houseway. How is
Yeah,
that?
we need
Yeah.
to.
Mm,
We're all growing, and I think I am being more mindful of that as I get older and as I mature as well, because you never stop maturing.
yeah.
Um, to be okay, you must be presenting me with your best, right? And so, who am I to say you need to do this? I can give you a recommendation, but you might not be ready for that. Who am
Yeah.
I to expect you to be this person when you're presenting me this is who you are? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so
Mm,
maybe I need to take it back. Maybe I need to tone it down. Maybe I need to do this, that, or the third. And that's okay. That's called loving a person for who they are, not the potential of who they have, who the potential of who they have to be, or who
Yeah.
you think they should
Who
be.
you think. Mm, mm. I
Does
remember
God
someone
love us
told
that way?
me you can tear up the picture in your head of who you think someone is, or how you envision that relationship, or decide to tear the person down, tear the person up to
Mm,
make the picture that you've created in your mind of how it should be. It's our choice. We either accept the person, tear up that picture, or we tear up the person trying to create the picture.
that part.
And we got to
That part.
choose. We got to decide.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't want anyone to think that you just let people, oh, he's going to be that way. I'm going to love him. Or she's going to be that way. No, there
Right.
are certain things that you should
Right.
accept, and you know what you should accept for you, right? You know what
Right.
can work for you. There's a bare baseline, there's a bare minimum, right? We're talking
Mhm.
way far beyond that. You
Yeah.
know,
We're
you
talking
don't
the
accept
person's
less than what you deserve.
personality.
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking, communication style,
Hmm.
right? That's what we're talking about. We're not talking
Not
about
that
if
they
the
don't want to
person,
communicate, like my way
right,
or no way. Okay,
right,
goodbye.
right, right, right.
Ask
Or
you on the other side.
the silence mechanism, like, oh, I'm mad at you, I just don't want to talk. Oh, I gotta accept that you don't want to talk. No, communication
Mm-mm.
is a part of a relationship. If you can't communicate with me and talk it out with me, what are we doing? Like, we're not going
Mm-mm.
to do this whole silence as a we too old for that.
Yeah, how
Look,
long
guys
this gonna last? Let me know when you're done.
right.
Let me
Well, do
know.
you plan to
I
stay
love you.
silent for
Okay.
48 hours?
Right.
Can you
Right.
let me know?
Yeah. It's not healthy at all.
At all. Oh
It
my
is
gosh,
not.
friend, I appreciate you coming to the podcast and spending some time with me and just allowing our listeners to just have a peek inside our friendship and how, our conversations literally, y'all, they literally flow like this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for the bulk of like our talk, we can go from like having a serious, deep conversation, one of us almost crying, aka that's me, because Octavia, she don't really cry out, like that's not her, that it would be me. And then we go to laughing, and then like something
Mm-hmm.
like,
Real
thought
deep.
provoking, right,
Yes.
right. And then back to laughing, like, and that is such a beautiful thing. And I want to thank you for just being open to kind of let the world see
Yes, you are
the
very
inside.
welcome and thank you for having me. I appreciate it, like I said, and I'm gonna say it again. Thank you for the motivation to get it together because we've only had 2 episodes. Okay. Look, we not 2 episodes ever, 2 episodes this year. And I know that's also that's how I'm operating seasonal, right? And so I'm like, where I am dead set on my crafting, then I can't do crafting and I can't do recording and podcast episodes and motherhood and
Yes.
wifehood and work. Like they just all don't go together. So I am a seasonal crafter now and I'm a seasonal
Yeah.
podcaster. I don't know what that's gonna
And
look
that's
like,
okay.
but
That's
hmm
okay. That's absolutely okay. And
but I know the
there is
season has
someone,
seasoned out and so I need to get it
stop.
together.
She's like, so, yeah, it's okay, but, here we
Hmm.
are, season
That
over.
season. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's coming to an end. November 1 today. I can't believe it.
Yeah, this year flew. This year flew
It
by to
did.
me. It flew by. I can't believe like Christmas is right around the corner. Like that's crazy. That's crazy.
Hmm.
And I'm just like,
Hmm.
wait, I'm not ready. I'm not pineapple.
Get
I'm not
ready.
ready.
Get ready. Come on, bunny. Come tell mama.
Look,
Hurry up.
she done
Get
laid out
ready.
on the side, girl. Over there laid out like this her
She
house.
is
Like
so cute.
that's what I was like. I don't know, y'all. Bunnies, she's totally comfortable because like anytime a bunny shows their underbelly, they have to be comfortable to do that. And that's what she does all the time. So This her house, and she thinks she rule
Let
me,
me hear
and
what
she don't.
let me hear what she talk
She
about.
don't like. She don't rule nothing over here, right, Lily Sahara? Right? Look, talking to her, she looking at me like, "Girl, finish your podcast." So where can
Mm-mm.
people find you if they want to, get connected to the podcast, learn more about you and motherhood and
Yeah.
life from Octavia's perspective? Where can they connect with you?
So we do have a website. It's Millennial Livin. That's with no G.com. We also are on your streaming platforms, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, the Apple Podcast app. You can find us a Millennial Living podcast, a professional perspective. We're also on social. I understand that all my listeners are not, and that's okay. But if you are, look, and you want to get a glimpse of that every day, I'm very big on sharing in the stories and stuff. So that is Millie Living Podcast. That's Mille podcast. Oh, Living, no G. See, I'm not really a social person. I use it because it's a great tool, right, and to have in your toolbox. And then I'm also on Facebook. We have a podcast page on our Facebook page.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you again for joining. And listeners, thank you so much for just kind of having this moment with me and my friend. And we hope that it inspires you to get connected to your friends, to be intentional with your relationships, and to remember that we are all learning. So maybe we should just give each other grace regardless of age. Um,
Yes.
hopefully that's your takeaway, and we will see you in our next episode. All right, bye now.